not going to sing another one. You have to pay for that. Thank you. Lovely. So before we continue on that note and get you all to sing, morning, can I just have a show of hands if anyone in their life has ever had an experience with stage fright? That can be from childhood right up to right now. Okay, the majority of the room. Fascinating. Okay, and as part of our business, can I just gauge how many people do networking as part of their business? Again, quite a few of us, right? And does anybody need to do presentations, public or within just your group's facilities? Right. Okay, so it's applicable to all of us, in which case we've all experienced at some stage what it is to have to use our voice in a public setting and how to get our voice across. Stage fright has its own set of rules, which is a completely different talk. But what happens when we get on stage is that we can often find that our breathing becomes highly irregular, our pitch goes up, we get sweaty, our legs start going. So all of our presentation, not just our voice, but our physical presence is already giving out messages to other people, and we're already communicating before we've said a word. So do we actually know how long it takes for people to make a first impression? 3 seconds over there, less than a second over here. Any further advances on that over here? 1/10 of a second. Almost. It is under 1 second that we have to make a first impression. So that could be from just opening a door or walking on stage. You haven't even done anything yet. And people have decided if you're reliable, if you're trustworthy, if they want to work with you, if you look confident. All of these things are already building a picture in their head before you've even got to the word hello. Then you've got a handshake. A handshake, again, will leave a lasting memory on someone. And we all have had those experiences where you've had the limp handshake, you know, the one where you actually feel a little bit violated. And then the knuckle crasher, where it doesn't matter what they say for the next 5 seconds if you're speed networking, because you're just going, go away so I can cry. That really hurt. So all of those things really build up. Then how we actually vocally project ourselves can also help our physical stance. Now, I know a lot of people come from the physical part of things. I'm coming from the vocal side of things, because once you have the belief and ingrained ability to control and command your voice, you will have the inner confidence which will shine through in your physicality anyway. So, as this is applicable to all of us, if I told you I'm going to give you today 4 tips that you can take away with you to help you in future, would that be of interest? Yes, good, I thought so. Thank God, otherwise I'd have to get off stage and that would have been rubbish. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to focus on breathing, okay? Because although we've organically learned how to breathe when we came out of our parents' womb, when we speak, we actually have to learn how to control the breath. And when we're singing or speaking, that's what we're actually talking about. We're not talking about the mechanism of the in-out, which we know how to do. It's how we actually pace that breath, use it to our advantage, and also being comfortable in a silence. Because when you're standing on a stage, that silence can be the most petrifying thing on the planet. Yet when you're communicating, it actually gives people a moment to register what you've said, and it gives you a minute to breathe. So it's not always about you guys in the audience. As a speaker, it's about you as well. You need to learn how to root yourself, ground yourself, and let that happen. So without me having to tell you all about it, I'm going to throw you in. I was meant to have this as a workshop scenario, so this setup looks a bit formal to me, but you're just going to have to work with that, and so will I. So first of all, with the breathing, can I ask you all just to put your hands just above your belly buttons? So by your rib cage, just underneath your rib cage there, all right? And can I just hear you all go, ha, ha? That's it. And go, ha, ha, ha. Ha, 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 ha. There you go, much better. So now you found your diaphragm. Okay? So when you hear people talking about the diaphragm, for want of a better word, it's like a rubber band that stops our lungs falling into our gut. Very useful, thank you very much, Miss Diaphragm. But that diaphragm is our support mechanism. Okay? So when you need to project, it's that effect that you want to have. So when you're out speaking, or if you've been laughing for a long time, we've all experienced vocal fatigue. You come away from being out in a nightclub, because I know you look like that kind of audience, and you come back, you feel hoarse. In any public speaking environment, if you've got a job, receptionists, PAs, CEOs, if you're constantly networking, talking to people, you might come away at the end of the day and feel a bit raspy. That's because you've been talking from your voice box and not been connected to your diaphragm and projecting from there. So all these techniques are going to help you do that as well. Okay. So now we've located the diaphragm, we have to learn how to put that into use. Okay, now a lot of people don't actually think about their breathing because we do it so organically. Obviously there's two portals, two ways of breathing. You can breathe in through your nose and you can breathe in through your mouth. All right. Organically you're going to breathe in through both. We don't usually isolate one from the other unless you physically hold your nose shut. Okay. So what's the difference? How can we learn and retrain ourselves, our muscle memory, to think, breathe in through the nose as opposed to the mouth? And why would you even want to contemplate that? I can see a few faces going, where's she going with that? Okay, but the thing is that if you breathe in through your nose, you can actually take in a hell of a lot more air. And that means you can control it better. If you're breathing in through the mouth, you're taking in a very sharp and a lot of air, but in a very sharp mechanism. So you're going, and there's no way you can control that. If you think of it like a balloon, if you blow up a balloon too fast, what happens? It'll pop, it explodes, because you haven't given the particles a chance to understand what's going on. So they get freaked out and the balloon explodes. If you pump up the balloon, blow it up slowly, it can get quite big. You're filling it up with a hell of a lot of air. That way you can hold the end of the balloon and let out as little or as many puffs as you want. And the lungs work on exactly the same logic. Okay, so if you don't believe me, I want us all, now this time I want you to put your hands on the side of your rib cage. If you want to stand up, feel free. Okay, and I want you just to take a sharp breath. All the girls go, oof, hello, that's better. Okay, and take in a deep breath through your mouth and then let it out as slowly as you can. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and relax. Anybody found that quite tense? It's sort of like it's quite hard. Let's try the other way now. This time, breathing in through your nose and then blowing out like you're blowing out through a straw, and see how long we can breathe out for. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm a trained opera singer, so I could go on for another couple of hours on that one. But could you feel the difference? Did breathing in through your nose feel lighter on your body and in your chest? Yeah, good. It was meant to. Because when you take that sharp intake of air, it all builds up and there's nowhere for it to go. What your body and what your mind is telling you to do is expel that as quickly as possible. So when you're trying to control the breath from a sharp intake through the mouth, you're actually making your life a hell of a lot harder. You're not controlling your breath, and that's when you're laughing or speaking from your voice box and not from your diaphragm. That's when you will actually start straining your voice. If we can learn and retrain ourselves and remind ourselves between sentences to take a breath in through the nose, you are organically already connecting to your body, and your breathing is going to flow much easier. You're going to find that much easier, and your vocals are not going to get tired as quickly. So hopefully that will help you on that point. So moving swiftly on, we've got vocal projection. A lot of people ask me, they're sort of going, it's not that I've got the fear of speaking, I don't seem to be able to project my voice. I've naturally got quite a quiet voice, and I don't feel it can carry. Now, there are different situations that you can use that. I don't always see that as a problem. Firstly, because if you're a softly spoken person, which I am not, that's great. Use that to your advantage, because it means people actually have to shut up and listen. Draw them into you. Again, you don't have to be loud to make yourself heard. If you're talking softly, make them lean in, but say it with intensity, say it with belief. Use your body language. Stop to breathe, and people will listen. Now, if you're on a stage, obviously you can combat that with technology, microphones and all of that, so I don't see that as a problem either. Again, if you do feel you want to find more command in that area, use the ha, ha, ha exercise. And then elongate that and go, ha! Okay, let's all try that. So let's go back to our ha, 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 remind ourselves of those. Sitting up straight, shoulders back in the classroom. Thank you, lovely. Go, ha! Well done. You're all sounding great. I might take you to my rehearsal next and use you as my chorus. Now this time we're going to elongate one long ha. Now what I want you to really think about is the tongue. When's the last time you thought about your tongue? Ah, good tongue. But this time what we're trying to do is the back of the tongue usually stays up. Now I haven't got a camera here that I could show you, but if the tongue stays up, I want the back of the tongue to stay down, as if I've gone to the doctor with a sore throat and he's put a spatula on it to hold it down. And if you check that in a mirror, you'd be able to see my tonsils. With the tongue up, you can't. So just think about dropping the whole tongue and making the tongue as relaxed as possible, because when we speak, the tongue is actually extremely tense. So I want us to go, ha. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Lovely, really nicely done. Let's take it up a few notes. Ha. 1, 2, 3. Very nicely done. Hey guys, you're pros already. What am I doing up here? No, that was sounding fantastic. So projection is again rooting from the physical stomach point. It's that diaphragm. So that's where you get the power, that's where you anchor the sound, and that's where you're going to get your vocal projection from. Okay, so again, it's connecting to the body. Lovely. So, vocal colour, intonation, and pitch. This is the next thing. How am I doing? I need to move on. 5 minutes, good. Right, vocal pitch is something that I find extraordinary. When we get nervous, our voice seems to get higher and higher and higher until I start sounding like Minnie Mouse, and it's really scary. And everyone goes, okay, calm down. It does happen to men as much as it happens to women. I've seen it. Okay, so again, to relax yourselves, it doesn't matter what you do off stage. Find a quiet space and seriously give yourselves a good shake. The amount of tension we carry in our bodies, that nervousness, that stress, builds up physically into our bodies until by the time you walk on stage, you lock your knees, you lock your shoulders, and everything's gone really tense. And what do you think that's doing to your voice box? It's really tense. It's closed up. That's exactly what you don't want to happen. So to relax the voice, you have to relax the body, which is also connected to relaxing the mind. In doing that, I want us to try something else quickly. Humming. Humming is the best way to relax ourselves. It's a bit yoga-ish, okay? But let's just try. I just want a glissando going from your lowest point to your highest point. Okay, ready? And go. Lovely. Now start at your highest point and slide all the way down. And hey, very nice. Okay, this time we're going to do exactly the same thing, but I want you to physically place your hand on your chest. Okay? I want you now to feel the vibration. It should resonate in your chest area, in your lower voice, and rumble down there. The higher you get, you should start feeling vibrations in your nasal cavity. Okay, so just be conscious of that. Again, we're starting from the low note and working our way up. Okay, and did we all feel a movement of the rumble and the vibrations? Isn't exactly. You suddenly realize that your notes and your voice have got different areas in your body. Right? As soon as you know that, now that you're conscious of that, experiment with that when you're speaking. Margaret Thatcher had to do that when she went into politics. She had vocal coaching. Her voice was too high, and they said, you're never going to be taken seriously in a male-dominant environment. And she had vocal coaches to actually help her drop her voice. So if her normal speaking range was like mine is at the moment, she learned how to drop it down here, to have a bit more vocal gravitas, so that men would listen. But that's something that we can all do. Ladies, think about that when you're gauging and pitching to your audiences. I've got a naturally high voice. I'm a soprano. And sometimes I do just drop down into my chest voice a little bit. Makes it a little bit more sexy for the presentation. Stroke the flip chart. Use these things to your advantage. Gentlemen, you can sometimes be a little too dominant in your voices. Think about if you're talking to a female audience. I'm not saying take your voices up, I'm saying round them off. It's like polishing them a little bit. Make them a little bit softer. Rather than being very forceful, which you are, very dominant leaders, and we're glad you are. It's a little bit scary to a female audience, and sometimes it comes across as a bit too aggressive. So you might want to take that down. Okay, so as a roundup, we've got our breathing, we have got our vocal pitch, and the last thing, pitch and diction is what we're trying to cover, intonation, and I want to just quickly, in the last 30 seconds, talk about speed. We sometimes talk extremely quickly when we get nervous. Sometimes we talk really slowly and start umming and ahhing. One way to get across that is, again, use that tip from the very beginning, from the breathing section. Use that silence. Instead of tripping your memory into an mode, reprogram that into a silence and breathe. If you stabilize your breath, you will stabilize your pitch, you'll stabilize the color and intonation of how you're using your voice and the pace at which you talk. Those 4 points should hopefully set you up to have wonderful speaking voices and give you more confidence in your voice and in your deliveries. Thank you very much for listening.